Hey Minimizers, you're getting ready to watch some footage from one of the Minimalists live events from the Love People Use Things tour. If you'd like to see us on the road, visit theminimalists.com/tour, or you can find all of our live events over at patreon.com/theminimalists. Enjoy.
So my question for y'all is, I'm actually moving out of my parents' house in like a month. I'm extremely terrified and also excited. So I was wondering if you can give me any tips or tricks. I'm moving in with my sister, actually here in San Antonio. I don't live here. I live near here, but not in San Antonio. So.
But let's talk about fear and excitement. Isn't it funny that they're essentially the same thing? And it's basically the story we tell ourselves, which determines whether I'm excited or I'm afraid. And in fact, if I were to go to you and say, hey, describe to me like a time when you're really, really excited, I might hear something like, oh, my palms get a little sweaty, my heart starts to beat a little bit faster, right? I start to get kind of tense and amped up. And I ask you to describe fear, and you start describing the same physiological symptoms of fear, right? And so it has to do quite often with the stories we tell ourselves. Kapil Gupta says that fear is present whenever there are consequences. And I would say the same thing about the excitement that you're feeling as well. Is the excitement is like, wow, what is the consequence of this? What is the best thing that can happen? Unfortunately, what we often get caught up in is the sort of catastrophic thinking. What's the worst thing that could happen, right? And that becomes, it's okay to understand what the boundaries are. You don't want to jump out of an airplane without a parachute. Understanding what the worst thing that can happen is really useful there. It helps you make an informed decision. But quite often we're treating everyday decisions, like moving into a home, as though it's jumping out of an airplane, right? And so my guess is the thing that you fear is what? Is it accumulating stuff? Is it just the unknown of the new space?
Yeah, the unknown of the new space, or the responsibility of bills, or not being able to handle it.
Yeah, the money problems.
Yeah, the drive to work, or just everything. The unknown.
Yeah. Well, get a place closer to work. That's the first thing I would do. And so these fears are, I understand, it's not even a fear, it's like a discomfort thing, right? It's an inconvenience. When I was reading that story earlier from the book about Jason and Jennifer, what I found about the conversations, they didn't experience this incredible terror or fear. It was like a extreme inconvenience that all of their things had burned to the ground. What a beautiful place that is to be, where if you lose something, it's merely an inconvenience, right? And so with respect to the things you're fearing here, it sounds like the money side of things. Yeah, of course, money is, Ryan and I are not allergic to money as minimalists. We have to earn a living, right? We have quite a large team as well, so we have a lot of people to pay, and so we have our own homes, and it's important to not go into debt for me. That's something that's a value of mine. I avoid debt. I don't think there's any such thing as good debt. Now, everyone hears that and they hear me say that I think you're bad if you do have debt. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just want to be clear about that. I just think debt keeps us from being free. And so if you value your freedom, you'll want to do whatever you can to stay out of debt. And so what else are you fearing?
I have tried moving out before for college. Did
Sure.
not work out. It was mentally too much for me.
I got you.
And I'm scared of that again to
Yeah.
happen.
And was there anything about it that didn't work out in particular? Like were there one or two things that you're like, this is why it didn't work out? Your words, by the way.
It didn't work out because a lot of things were happening around that time, such as family passing away and living 4 hours away, or being on medication that was not good for me mentally.
Yeah.
Or I didn't take consistently like I should have.
Yeah.
So I'm scared of that repetition happening again while I'm living alone.
I understand. Yeah, I'm sorry that it's, I know that it's overwhelming. And so when something is extremely overwhelming to me, I try to break it down into chunks, right? It's like if you try to memorize someone's phone number. Remember when we used to have to memorize phone numbers, by the way? There's a reason that it's broken down the way that it is, right? Is because you couldn't memorize. If I just threw 10 numbers at you, good luck with that. But if I give you, here's 3 numbers. Okay, I can remember the area code, I got that. Yeah, all right. All right, now the prefix. Okay, figure that out. And then it's just like, I just got to remember these last 4 numbers. I might even chunk that into 2 numbers at a time. And why do I do that? It's so I don't get overwhelmed by it and just throw my hands up. And so I think the same thing is true whenever we're making a big life decision. You're making what is you're perceiving to be this giant leap, right?
Yeah.
It's probably not a giant leap. It's probably a bunch of baby steps to get you there. Now, eventually, you'll be there, but it's not just, oh my God, I have to go in head first and no plan whatsoever.
I think you covered it all, man. I'm just kidding. First, I want to say thanks so much for the compliment that you started off with, because if it was just you who showed up tonight, I would be eternally grateful for that. And every time I hear a compliment like what you just said, that is why Josh and I do what we do. So thanks so much for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, Josh talked about certain mistakes or certain things to avoid, debt being one of them. But the good news is that there are also some of these other mistakes that you don't have to openly admit right now in front of everyone that you made when you moved out the first time. So learn from those mistakes and just don't repeat the same things. My sister, I remember when she was first moving out of the house, she called me up and she was really scared about paying her bills and being able to survive on her own and so forth and so on. And I gave her the same exact advice. I was like, just stay out of debt, get a roommate, keep your expenses low. And I'll tell you, it wasn't as hard as she thought it was going to be, but it certainly wasn't easy. And that's the advice I'll give you is, yeah, it's not going to be easy, but I promise you it will not be as hard as what you're making it out to be. Are you moving 4 hours away again, or?
No, I'm just
You've already
20
learned one
minutes
thing.
away.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
20 minutes from my parents, yeah.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Cool.
So.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I know you're going to do great, especially because, again, you've already gained a little experience, and you're going to use that to really succeed this time.
I hope so.
For sure.
I will.
Yeah, you will.
Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
Thanks,
being here. Did you enjoy this video? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists today. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.